Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose, as long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts Alex and Sean. On this episode, we're going to be talking about another Bears loss. Promising news from the Blackhawks, the Bulls getting ready to start their season, and some baseball tidbits. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You could see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. The season starts this coming Saturday, October 21st. So make sure you head on over to icehogs.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. And by the way, on Saturday, they'll be playing the Chicago Wolves, so it'll be a good game. Alex, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I mean, you know, being a Bears fan, I'm guessing I'm about doing as well as I can expect to be doing.
Yeah. Man, what a boring, uninteresting, just garbage game on Sunday. Like that's the whole thing. Like I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, man, this game is dull. It's a really bad team versus I would say, middle of the road team. It wasn't exciting at all.
I would say without their best player, they're a sub-mad team. With their best player, they're a mad team. And the Bears, not to toot my own horn, but I called this. I was like, we saw the Bears have success against two really bad defenses. And Minnesota is a middle-of-the-road defense. They blitz a lot. How are the Bears going to respond? I really want to see that, because before they start playing some good defenses, they're going to need to show that they can win against a mediocre defense. And the Bears, I just want to start off, is the Bears were not prepared for the number one blitzing team in the NFL to blitz.
What did it tell you on the first play of the game when Justin Fields gets sacked, when they just walked right up to Justin Fields and sacked him, not even getting touched? Just the easiest sack you'll ever see on the first play of the game. It
set the tone. And Here's the thing, is Luke Getsy is a moron. I don't know how to say it. Maybe he knows how to pump his gas and tie his shoes, but he doesn't understand football. If you're playing simple, there's no way that he watched film on the Minnesota Vikings and was like, this is the play or the game plan I'm putting together. I think he has a static game plan, and he's like, we're going to do this, and that's it. And that's fine if you have a really good offense. Like the Kansas City Chiefs, they can go out there, and this is what we do. A good example would have been a few years ago, the Tennessee Titans, when their running back was in his prime, and they're like, you know what? We are just going to line up and we are going to run over you. And that's what we do. And you better stop us. The Bears aren't that good to be able to do that. They've got to play matchups. They've got to protect themselves from things where blitz pickups. There's one instance that just blew my mind is they ran two consecutive plays, and so they put themselves in the 3rd and long, which was already bad enough. And the blitz is coming. The blitz comes right between the guard and center gap. And who do they have in there to pick up the block? Do they have their fullback, who's been in the team for a couple of years now, knows the playbook, and is a bigger guy, and that's what he does, is he blocks Do they have him in there to pick that up? What about Deontay Foreman? No. They have Darrington Evans, who granted he played with them for last year, but he's been on this team for 4 days. That's who they have to go in there and pick up this blitz. It's coming right up the A and B gap, or the guard center gap, coming straight in, and they've got a guy who's been on the team for 4 days, and he misses the block, and there's a sack. You know, that first play of the game, that's on Justin Fields. He's got the free runner, the free blitzer. But on this one, that's Luke Getsy's poor planning. You're not running slant routes. You're not running short plays to go, all right, we're going to take advantage of them blitzing so much by running these hot routes, and our guys automatically are in the second and third level. Nope. It's all deep plays when you have a banged up and bad offensive line. It's Luke Getsy failed. What is it? What's below an F?
Z.
He got a Z minus. Like it was pathetic.
Sean, I have 2 questions. I have 2 questions for Luke Getsy. Number 1, how come you're not rolling Justin Fields out of the pocket? How come you continue to refuse to do that? And listen, if you want him to become a better pocket passer, okay, but this is a game where you are facing the number 1 blitzing defense in the NFL. You're trying to win a game. You got to counter your strategy and adjust to the team you're playing, like you said, and yet you're not doing what makes sense. Number 2, do you remember in the first half when they started running the ball pretty effectively? You remember that drive?
Yep, absolutely.
When you're passing, if you're not going to roll out, how come you're not doing any play action? Like where is this stuff?
I mean, to be fair, I think that is one of Justin Fields' things where he needs to improve. Is I don't think he is good at selling the play action,
which is fair, but
they
why
should
not?
They should at least be attempting it.
Right, exactly.
They should. You're right. They should at least be attempting it, even if he's not. He's not. I hate to say a stupid name, but Aaron Rodgers is really good at it, and you don't have to be that level. You don't have to be really good at it to have it be effective, and they don't do it. Excuse me, they don't do it, and it's sad. Luke Getsy has this in his mind. This is who he is. This is what he does. This is what they do. And if they don't have a player that fits exactly what his scheme is, then he feels like he's got to mold that player into the scheme rather than go the other way around. And it's like he didn't learn from the downfall of his predecessor with the Bears. That was one of the big downfalls of Matt Nagy is he's like, well, I don't have the guy I want. So, and then he's like, well, I can't win with Mitch because he's not the guy I want. So then he goes out and he gets, they've got Nick Foles, they've got Andy Dalton, they've got guys that he handpicked, and they're not the guy either. And it's if you can't manipulate your scheme to A, work around weaknesses you have, or B, maximize the players that you do have and the skills that they do have, then your system sucks. Period.
And everyone just keeps asking the same questions. Plenty of people are asking, why are you not rolling Justin Fields out of the pocket more? Why aren't you trying more play action? There was one play call. It was running up the middle for little gain, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was an opportunity where you could have passed, and you already heard the boos coming out after that happened, and it's like, when that stuff comes out, it's going to be a rough day at the office. And we saw early on in the game where you were just flabbergasted by how bad the offensive line was playing. Now, here's something that we have to talk about, because like you said, the first drive set the tone. The offensive line was very, very bad. That set the tone. But what we really have to talk about when it comes to the offensive line, we cannot see Cody Whitehair play center again. Cannot do it.
Can't do it. And honestly, is Lucas Patrick's not good at it either. I know I've been, I don't want to say bullish on Doug Kramer. I just want to see what we have in him. And I think they should put him in. He's a natural center. He was a draft pick, and let him go there and play. If he stinks too, then you have 3 terrible centers. But
yeah,
you're right.
You cannot afford to keep Cody Whitehair at that position. You just can't.
No, and that leads to another point I have with this frustration with this administration, this coaching staff, is I get coaches can't always be 100% honest and forthright about everything. I get that. That just makes sense.
Sure.
But to lie about so many things that we have the ability to fact check, that it's mind numbing. How many have we had so far? We had another one where they said, oh, no, Cody Whitehair wasn't pulled because of performance. It's that Lucas Patrick just has some more snaps there and has worked more with Tyson Bagent. So we use that as the opportunity to switch over. And
bullshit.
Number one, if you can go back and you can count snaps, those are reported. Those are reported numbers. We can go pull them. And the facts show that Cody Whitehair in NFL games has about triple the number of snaps at center than Lucas Patrick.
We should know Cody Whitehair has been forever. We saw him start and fail at center while doing better at guard under 3 coaches now.
So we know Cody Whitehair has almost triple. Look, we can look that up. And they asked Tyson Bagent, and he clearly didn't get told the company line. So he's like, I worked with both of them equal numbers. So why are you lying?
And didn't they not pull Cody Whitehair until the second Tyson Bagent drive? Wasn't Cody Whitehair still behind there when he first came in?
To be honest, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
I thought Cody Whitehair was still in there at first. I mean, obviously the pull happened pretty quickly around there, but I mean, come on, that is such a load of garbage. It's again, here's Matt Eberflus not giving any of his players, I don't want to use the word deserved criticism, but like, you can go up there and say, hey, you know what? We didn't like to see what we were seeing from our center. The play wasn't good enough. We made a switch. You don't have to go up there and say, oh, Cody Whitehair was terrible. He should be ashamed. We benched him. He's awful, blah, blah, blah. You just say, you know what? We weren't getting the right amount of, the right level of play out of our center, so we had to make a switch.
Alex, how old are you? You're 26?
29.
29. Oh, my God. The Flus has almost 30 years seniority in life on you and hasn't figured out what you just said and how correct it is. You were dead on. You're dead on. You have to be accountable. You have to hold these players accountable. You don't have to go up there and MF them or, throw them under the bus. But it's completely appropriate to say, hey, he was not having his best game, or we didn't like the things we saw, and we wanted to make a change to see if that would fix things.
It's that simple.
We're going to reevaluate, and it is that simple.
It really is that simple. We didn't like the play. We need to make a change, and we kind of saw what we saw from there. Okay.
It's not hurting anybody's feelings. He's paid a lot of money He's a professional.
Cody Whitehair's been in this league like around a decade. He's been here a long time. He's a veteran. He's not a coddled rookie.
Yeah, he's been here. So he's a big boy. So I don't understand why he has to be coddled here. And you're right. It's frustrating that there's a time and a place. Like if they're like, hey, how are you planning to attack the Vegas defense with your rookie undrafted quarterback next week? And he says, I can't tell you that. Or, hey, you have to wait and see Sunday. Perfectly fine to be dishonest there or not forthright. That's perfectly fine. But there are times and places you're like, yeah, is your guy injured? Yeah, we don't know the extent yet, but it's not looking good. Or, you know what, we're hopeful. All right. Or, there's a time and a place to be honest, and there's a time and a place that we expect you to not say anything.
Right. Like, I mean, today's injury with Justin Fields, obviously everybody's asking the question, what's going on? What did the further tests say? Did you get the MRI? What are those saying? Obviously we know there are no breaks. And listen, yeah, you put him as doubtful for this Sunday. And there's plenty of people speculating he's going to miss more than just 1 week. I think that it could be very possible we see him go on the IR. But that is a point where I could understand where Eberflus just goes up there and says, yeah, listen, we're evaluating. He's doubtful right now. We'll know more. Okay, that's fine. And, it might not be the most satisfactory answer to us fans, but you almost kind of expect coaches to be kind of in terms of injuries like that. But
that's what we expect. Like that is
right.
that is a perfect opportunity. But there's the pulling when you pull your center and replace him with a different center in the middle of a game.
And you get facts that are just completely false.
You just don't lie to us.
Right. And it was the same thing with Chase Claypool. And here's the thing is that Eberflus should know that we can, like you alluded to, we can fact check very, very easily the snaps that Cody Whitehair has taken on the offensive line in his career with quarterbacks. We can do all that sort of research. Not only that, Tyson Bagent can come out and say, hey, here's the truth right here. And then, when it comes to the Claypool stuff, what happened? Spokesperson from the Bears told the reporters what happened. I mean, you got to know that the truth is going to be found out pretty easily. Now, with something like injuries, we can have medical people do their evaluations, give their opinions. We can hear report chatter, rumors, inside stuff, whatever. But we, at least as fans, understand that the nature of injuries is a lot more than just black and white. We get that. And we also understand, like we said earlier, taking accountability doesn't necessarily mean ragging on somebody. They're saying, you know what? Here was a job that needed to get done. It didn't get done, so we're going to make a change. We understand where the lines need to be drawn. There's a difference between flat out lying and just saying, you know what? We're still trying to figure things out.
Yeah, and I don't appreciate it, and it to me it shows signs of weakness. This is already a absolutely floundering coaching staff. They are so in over their heads. It's pathetic.
Okay, Sean, before we go any further, I want to share some doozy numbers with you. And I shared it earlier, but I need to share it on this show. This is not going to be fun, as you would probably imagine.
Oh, I've seen what you're going to say, and I'm ready for it here.
Yeah. So I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to expand on it a little bit. So you ready for this?
Yep.
Okay. So the big deal for the Bears in Washington was just the fact that they finally won a game. They won their first game in nearly a year. Nearly a year. You had lost 14 straight, and you finally won a game. But there's more to this. You haven't won a home game since late September against the Texans on a walk-off Cairo Santos field goal. Late September of 2022. It's mid-October 2023. It has been over a year. The Earth has gone around the sun and a little more since the last time you won a home game. Okay? There's that. Number 2, and these are the numbers you saw me post about earlier. The Bears lost yet another game against an NFC North opponent this Sunday. The last time we won a game against an NFC North team was Thanksgiving of 2021 when Andy Dalton beat the Lions. Barely beat the Lions. 16-14 was the final score. Cairo Santos kicked a buzzer beater field goal. The Lions were like 0-11-1, and the Bears were on like a 6-game losing streak, 5-6 games, however the hell long it was. And they barely won that game against a winless Lions team almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years. Thanksgiving, mid-November. It's mid-October now. Sean, what are the chances that we're going to beat the Lions this year? Pretty low, right?
You know, I watched this Lions team played arguably their worst game in a calendar year on Sunday, and there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to trounce the Bears. That defense is ferocious.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you probably might not. There's a chance that you might not even have your starting quarterback in there. So there's that. Now, my whole point is, unless maybe you squeak one out on the road in Minnesota or doubtfully Green Bay in the final week of the season, you're going to be going on over 2 years, most likely, since you've beaten an NFC North team. Matt Eberflus is 0-8 versus the NFC North. Hasn't beaten the NFC North yet. Now, here's the real doozy. You ready for this? Since the start of 2015, the 2015 season, not quite a decade ago, but we're getting close. This is our third coach since then. We had John Fox, who started in 2015, went 3 years. We had Matt Nagy, went 4 years. Now we're on Matt Eberflus, a year and a fourth, a third-ish, okay? 3 coaches. The Bears are 16-34 against the NFC North since the start of 2015. 16-34. You play 6 games every year against the NFC North. Think about that. If you went 4-2 against the NFC North for 3 straight years, that would already account right there for 12 wins. Just if you went 4-2 for 3 years, that's already 12 wins. You only have 16 since 2015. 13 of those 16 wins were under Matt Nagy. So John Fox and Matt Eberflus are a combined 3 for 23 against the NFC North. And those 3 wins were under John Fox between those 2 teams, those 2 coaches.
Jesus.
You want to know the last time we beat the Vikings? Do you remember?
I don't.
It was on the road in Minnesota in 2020. The last time we beat the Vikings, there was nobody in the stands. The last time we beat the Packers was the division clincher in 2018. 2018. Last time we beat the Packers. Last time we beat the Packers on the road, 2015, Thanksgiving night.
it's just sad. It's organizationally sad. And, I know I keep harping that it's not a curse. I don't believe in curses. This is not a curse. This is just incompetence with ownership. I'm not gonna shit on Virginia. She's 101 years old, almost, or is she already 101, turning 102, or is she about to turn 101? I
She's
don't
a
know.
century old.
She's triple digits. She's an old lady. I'm not shitting on her. Her kids, though, boobs, not in the good way.
Don't you mean ding dongs?
They are ding dongs, and George McCaskey keeps trying to be like, I'm just a fan, guys. I'm just a fan. Then get that fuck out of the way. Move.
Sell.
Don't sell. Make your billions and get yourself season tickets in the new stadium. But instead, if you're just a fan, why are you interviewing the GM? Why are you interviewing coaches? Why are you telling your new GM that he has free reign to hire whatever coach you want, asterisk, of this list of 4 coaches that I already interviewed and have decided on? Why? Why is that? That's already you putting your stamp on it. And then coming out and saying, you know what? Every other head coach or GM, every other GM has reported to Ted Phillips, who sort of just wiggled his way to the top because he makes money. And he knows nothing about football. I don't even know if he's watched a game. He just knows our colors. And we've decided, no, the new general manager is going to report directly to us. Fast forward a year. Oh, no, never mind. You have a new boss that I hired. Like, that's not staying out of it. That's not just being a fan. That's you inserting yourself directly and botching things up. It's not as bad as what's going on in Carolina, where I feel so bad for their head coach that he's got a plan and a vision, and it involved a different quarterback than they took, but the owner stepped in and said, nope, we're going with this quarterback. And now that they can't win with this quarterback, and the other quarterback that the head coach wanted is flourishing, and you go, maybe it's time to move on from our head coach. Maybe it's time to move on from ownership. It's not quite that bad, but it is bad. And they've set the standard that we're not even lovable losers. We're just losers. And that's what the organization is.
Yep.
And it's frustrating. And people are like, why don't you just pick a different team? Like, you can't just pick a new team. Like, this is the team. You at like age 5 get saddled with a team, whether that be you had a parent's best friend came in to visit from El Paso and with a Cowboys jersey on, and you became a Cowboys fan, or you went with your parents' hometown team. Like, that's your team. That's your team, no matter win, lose, or draw, and you're stuck with that. And that's where we are.
Yep, it feels hopeless. I mean, the most hope you have right now is your number 1 and 2 in the draft. If the season ended today,
Yeah,
just keep hoping for the Panthers to lose.
Well, I mean, you play them, so that's a hopefully you can beat them. But I started going through the schedules and the teams, because really you look, there's 6 teams that have 1 win or fewer. And then the teams with 2 wins are Minnesota, who they've got to play the Bears again. And they've got some easy wins on there. And you know what? They're not as bad as their record shows, especially when they get Justin Jefferson back. There was, those 1 wins last year when they went like 13-0 in 1-score games. The law of averages just caught up to them this year. They'll be meh. They'll be a meh team. I am not concerned about them being a top 5 draft pick. Tennessee is 2-4. And again, they're a team that is not that bad. I think they'll actually be better now that Malik Willis is in, the better quarterback at this point. So I think they'll win a few games. I'm not saying good. I'm just saying I'm not worried about them being a top 5 pick. Green Bay has 2 wins. Again, they're not good. They're well coached. Even though Green Bay hates their coach, I would trade coaches with them in a heartbeat.
Oh, of course.
I think they're a well coached team with a good defense. They'll win some games. And then after that, you've got a whole bunch of teams with 3 wins: New Orleans, Atlanta, Houston, Indianapolis, Vegas, Washington, Jets, Cincinnati. I have, like, unless something crazy happens, I don't see any of them jumping up, taking a top 5 pick. So really, you're looking at there's 6 teams with 1 win or less, and those are your contenders for the number 1 and number 2 spots. I found some sites that did simulations, and what's wild is they had the Bears. This was done after this week. They have the Bears winning 5 games. The Bears are 1-5 right now. So that means they have to go 4-7 the rest of the season. That's I think at best they win like 4 games.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that too.
Carolina, I think they have them at 2 wins. I don't think they go undefeated. I don't think they're that bad.
You mean they go winless?
Sorry, winless. They're not that bad.
I agree.
It's real hard to not win a single game. That's why it just hasn't been done.
Insanely difficult. Yeah.
They're not a bad team. They're just a talentless team. They've got a really, really young quarterback who's too small and is, struggling with some issues, and he's got no weapons. The defense is not so bad. And I think, but there's talks that they might sell off pieces before the trade deadline and to build draft capital. And,
they'd probably really want that.
But it doesn't help them in the most important pick because it's the Bears pick.
Well, yeah, but I would gladly take that.
And the Bears have, I think Denver will finish with less wins than the Bears. That team just
we blew a 28-7 lead against them.
Yeah, we're a terrible team, and we blew a lead against them. Arizona, they've just got a really tough schedule. I don't think they're that bad. We'll see.
They're playing better than I thought they would, honestly. I got to give them that.
I think they just have a tough schedule. I mean, they play Seattle twice. They play the Rams twice. They play the 49ers twice. They just got a tough schedule. So they might be hard for them to win games. The Giants look really bad.
Yeah, that's a disaster.
And New England looks terrible.
That is Bills fan puke with another Bills fan mixing in his puke.
I honestly think the Patriots might be the worst team in the NFL.
They might be. I mean, they are legitimately awful. Justin Fields has at least shown some flashes this year where he was producing. And I know he was not good in this past game against Minnesota because as bad as everything was around him, he was not very good either. But at least he had good games against Denver and Washington. I know those defenses aren't to write home about, but at least saw flashes. Mac Jones is, ugh.
Yeah, he's a disaster. He's already we're 6 games into the season. He's been benched like at least 3 times. They've benched him. They haven't scored an offensive touchdown in like 6 quarters or 7 quarters or something, maybe longer. It's been a long time. And they don't. They're just terrible. They're terrible. The Giants are bad. But they maybe when Danny Dimes comes back next week or the week after, maybe they're a little better with Danny Dimes and Saquon Barkley healthy together. Because they played the Bills tough. That team. I think we dodged a bullet by not getting Brian Daboll. I at first thought that was, and the Hawks scored.
You're a little behind.
Really?
Yeah, that was like 5 minutes ago.
Holy cow! And did I? Oh yeah, you know what? I must have. I'm watching on YouTube TV, so that's if you touch anything, it might set you back. But they just look poorly coached. I mean, did you watch that game last night?
I only saw a snippet of it, and then I turned it off because it was garbage.
Yeah, after we got back from my daughter's birthday dinner, I turned the game on, and they had the ball on the 1 yard line with like 6 seconds left and no timeouts to end the first half. And they did a running play and got tackled short, and then they ran out of time because they didn't have any timeouts.
Sounds like John Fox.
They didn't score any points from first and goal from the 1 yard line. They scored no points.
Yuck.
And if they would have got at least a field goal there at the end of the game, when they had the ball within field goal range, the field goal would have won the game.
Yes.
So then they had to end the first half and to end the second half, they had the ball from at first and goal from the within like the 1 yard line and didn't score any points neither time.
That's brutal.
That's a bad coach team.
That's bad.
So, the Bears are terrible. There's some badly coached teams, and I want to get back to talking about the Bears, but they're a poorly coached team. But I think, early prediction. I'm sort of running my own kind of predictions here. At this point, I think my guess is Bears get Carolina's number 1 overall pick, and then their pick is number 4.
Yeah, I think top 4, their own pick, top 4, top 5 is reasonable.
And honestly, the dream scenario is you get the 1 and 4 and you finally feel like Justin Fields could be the guy. And that way you can trade back, one of the with your number 1, get a boatload of picks or picks and players. And and then you get multiple number 1s next year.
Hawks scored again. Yeah, no, I agree. Can we talk about the elephant in the room?
Which elephant? There's a lot of elephants in that room.
You open the door, it's all a bunch of elephants just smashed in there.
Which one would you like to talk about?
I'm talking about the elephant that's probably going to be under center for maybe a while. We don't know, but I'm at least feeling pretty confident that we're going to see Bajent be the quarterback this coming Sunday against the Raiders.
Real quick, I want to say I don't think Justin Fields is going to be out more than 2 games.
So you're more optimistic.
Yes, I think if he was, what I'm hearing is that there's nothing structurally wrong. They want to get the swelling underway so he has grip on the ball.
Right.
And I think if they would have been something structural, they would have put him on IR. They haven't put him on IR. I think he misses 1, maybe 2 games.
Hey, you hope so. I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, either way, it seems like he's not going to play this week.
No, he's doubtful, and I don't think he will. I think
Right.
we'll have Bajan here.
So, okay, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and these are going to be pretty simple yes, no answers. Okay, so we're just going to lay the sequence out. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You and I pined for Tyson Bagent to make the roster out of preseason. Yes.
Yes.
You and I both agreed that it was better to have a younger QB on your roster than Nathan Peterman, right? Or at least it was beneficial to have him in addition to Nathan Peterman at the very least,
Correct.
right?
Agreed.
Tyson Bagent has the chance to play and show us what he can do.
Yes.
Now, just because that we pine for him to be on the roster and that we'd rather see a rookie QB show us what he can do over watching Nathan Peterman. We both said that.
Correct. I agree.
Headlines like the Sun-Times fishing for clicks, declaring Bagent this hero from the other day and this savior and this idea that he's going to be the guy going forward right now just seems flat out ridiculous.
He had a 56 quarterback rating and threw an interception in the game. Like, I mean, he had it. Here's the thing. Do I think he's the long-term answer? No. I just want you to develop a guy, is because if you've got a guy that you've developed and you're like, we feel pretty good about him, that makes your backup position pretty good, because your options to have a decent backup in this league are develop one or pay too much money for a backup quarterback.
PJ Walker.
I mean, let me pull up backup quarterback pay salaries for the right now.
Well, before you even spit out any numbers, you remember how much money Chase Daniel was making in his career?
Oh yeah, he was even $5 million.
Yeah, he was getting some nice chunk of change.
Okay, Jacoby Brissett and Mitch Trubisky are tied for the highest paid backup quarterbacks in the league. Both make $8 million a year.
Yeah.
Taylor Heineke is third, 7.7. Andy Dalton, 6. Let me go down here. Tyrod Taylor, 5.5. Marcus Mariota, 5. Will Levis, that's an unfair one. It's a rookie salary, but 4.69. Mike White, 4.5. Sam Darnold, 4.5. Jameis Winston, 4. Jarrett Stidham, 4. Drew Lock, 4. He's the backup that's playing now because of injury, but Zach Wilson, 3.85. Gardner Minshew, 3.5. So more than half of the backup quarterbacks in the league make more than $3 million a year. And the top ones are making $8 million. That's a lot of money. So, and are you like, oh man, I'm clamoring for Mitch Trubisky or Andy Dalton or Taylor Heineke? No, you're not. So that's what I'm saying is you either pay a guy that's a failed starter or you develop a guy. And that's where I'm at with it. And I'm still 1,000,000% fine with him over Nathan Peterman.
Me too. And this, Sean, you took the words right out of my mouth. This to me is an opportunity to see if you have some potential in a QB2 right here. I mean, this is where you can say, you know what? This guy's got enough attributes where you know that if you teach him to be kind of your system QB2 guy where he can execute, then you see those glimpses where you can at least have something there as depth, regardless if your QB1 is Fields or somebody else going forward. It's just it's that case that we fall into where we fall in love with the backup quarterback. It's happened many, many times, especially here. It's happened in other markets too. You remember when Bailey Zapp came in for Mac Jones against the Bears, threw a few completions, crowd was going nuts, and then it all just kind of faded away after that.
Is honestly, I see Tyson Bagent's ceiling, and this is the ceiling. It's Gardner Minshew. That would, and that's a high ceiling, I think.
Yes.
Because Gardner Minshew's not a bad quarterback.
No, and there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah, it's we are starting to see what some of his limitations are. He's got the moxie. I love the moxie.
Yes.
I love the decisiveness. I love that the moment's not too big for him. It's
gets that ball out quick.
Yes, it's what we saw right off the bat is his limitations are that he's too aggressive and he doesn't have a cannon of an arm. So he should not be throwing multiple bombs like he did. And that last interception was the reason that interception happened twofold. One, it was a severely underthrown lame duck ball. And two, is DJ Moore had beat his man so badly that he couldn't make it all the way back to break that play up or try to make the catch.
Yeah.
Justin Fields probably has a touchdown on that.
Probably.
So you have two different quarterbacks, and sometimes you're like, man, some of these traits of Tyson Bagent, you're like, I wish we could put in Justin Fields, that the calmness and the quickness to get out the ball. And part of that is they simplified that offense when Tyson Bagent came in. They're like, one read, throw it, max protect, throw the ball here. And you build this confidence. And why are you doing that for your backup quarterback, then not your starter? Like, yeah, you should be doing it for your backup, but you should be doing it for your starter too. You should never start a drive with your starting quarterback where there's a free rusher. That's you already messed up if that's the case. And you should start out with give him opportunity. Give him that confidence. And this coaching staff is terrible. Justin Fields has a lot of potential. It's just they are coaching him to be a bad quarterback. And
what a mess.
He needs somebody to build him up. And I just think that, honest to God, is Mike Shanahan would murder his firstborn child to have Justin Fields as his quarterback.
He'd find a way to unlock the potential. And, and again, there are things that Justin Fields needs to get better at himself. The indecisiveness, getting the ball out, reading pressure. Those are things that are on Justin Fields. But when you have the right coaches, the right system, the right player personnel, you maximize what you're good at and maybe even further improve Justin Fields' ability at doing that stuff.
Is Brock Purdy is not that good of a quarterback. He is literally a system quarterback in a really good system that fits what they're trying to do. He's not a good quarterback. When McCaffrey went out, he couldn't win a game for him. He couldn't win a game. Look how many points they scored against that Browns defense. Browns defense, who's statistically one of the worst pass defenses in the league. And you couldn't score on them. So yeah, I don't want to be like Brock, Justin Fields. He couldn't beat out Brock Purdy. Honestly, is when they drafted what's his name from North Dakota, Trey Lance, they envisioned Justin Fields. That's the type of guy. And they would kill somebody to have Justin Fields, period. So I'm not. Justin Fields just needs a lot of work still, and it sucks because we're going to have to pay him soon, and he's going to be in a third new offense next year if the Bears are.
If he's even back,
who knows? But my fear would be, you know what? We're going to part ways with Justin Fields. He's going to excel somewhere else, and the Bears are going to start from ground zero with Caleb Williams and
ruin him too.
Because who knows? They might still trot out this same coaching staff with some tweaks. Well, we got a new defensive coordinator and we got a new quarterback coach. They're going to throw Andrew Janoko under the bus and fire their offensive line coach. And you know what? We just had to tweak some things. We thank them for all the hard work they did, but we're just going to try in a new direction here.
Yeah, I don't want to believe that. I really don't. I mean, if you win 4 less games, how can you, as dumb as this organization is, I don't know.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You are George McCaskey.
Where's my purple crayon?
Can you write a pink slip in purple crayon?
I try to write my pink slip, but it won't show.
When you send Eberflus and his entire coaching staff packing, do you also send Ryan Poles packing? Or does he get another chance at a second coaching staff?
I don't think Ryan Poles is going anywhere regardless.
I don't think so either, because George picked him up from the airport himself in his Honda Civic, or is it just Toyota Celica? Whatever he drives.
It was his slug bug. George McCaskey driving around in an orange
purple Beetle.
It looks like a Teletubby.
And he's got a Bears helmet air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror. He's got it rigged up so it plays Bear Down when he honks the horn. He gets Ryan Poles in there and he's like, hold on a second. And he's got to throw all of his crayon box out of the front seat into the back seat. He's like, don't mind my crayons. And then he's like, check out this bad boy. And he hits the horn with the back of his fist and it just starts playing Bear Down.
The helmet that's in his back seat is just sun bleached as hell.
Oh man.
But yeah, I would be pretty surprised if they let Ryan Poles go, especially since he was given the keys to rebuild. I'd be surprised.
George McCaskey's got a sticker on the back of his windshield that says, "This box of crayons came with a sharpener."
Is it half peeling off?
Yeah, I'm torn. I think if this was another organization, that Ryan Poles probably gets shit canned too. But I think the Bears keep him. I think the Bears keep him and give him that other year. The bummer is that his assistant GM, we thought he was going to get hired away and we were going to get those 2 third-round picks for the minority development program. And with how bad this is, why would somebody hire a GM from a terrible organization? Ian Cunningham. So we're losing out on those 3rd-round picks. But
Ryan Poles is going to call all the other executives, please hire him. I'll do anything if you hire him.
But Eberflus and this coaching staff cannot be back, right?
They're done. They're done. I don't care what the Bears say or what they're thinking right now. They're done.
And if they're done, why do they still be conservative? Why don't you be, you know what? My job is, I'm going to get fired. It's like, if you're going to get fired from work, just go in and tell everybody what you think.
Do they think they're going to get fired?
They have to know. They asked Eberflus flat out about his job security, and and he danced around it, but he knows his job is almost assuredly gone. And so if that's the case, go out there and coach, like there's no tomorrow. Like win or go home. Like you're 1-5. What are you going to be worse?
Especially if
Show
you don't
everybody.
have your quarterback. Like, just
I mean,
take.
If you're like, what, worst case scenario is I get fired, which I'm already on that. By doing my best, I'm going to get fired. Why don't I just go out there and show them I can adapt, I can do things differently, I can change things up, and then best case scenario is we win some games and I keep my job, or somebody else sees me and goes, man, I want to give this guy a shot. But that's not what they're doing. And I will say one thing is this week the defense played a whole lot better than they have.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that, but I do have to give them some props. We saw the defense play very hard, very well, and I think the linebacking core had their best game of the year.
Yeah, I think their defensive backs had a really good game. They still don't get much pass rush and still aren't great at stopping the run. I mean, I think they benefited a lot from the fact that the Vikings have a really hard time running the football.
Yeah, the Vikings don't have Cook anymore. They don't run the ball.
Yeah, they don't run the ball. They're not good at it. That really helped the Bears. That played into their strengths. But yeah, I mean, they've played better, and I think the Bears, though, this coming weekend are going to get a big dose of the Vegas running back.
Yeah, we'll see how they respond to that. And I think that we're going to see a game where there's going to be a lot of pounding on both sides, right?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs, remember last time the Bears played Vegas? Well, I believe that was in London. And Josh Jacobs just ran all over the Bears.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see the repeat of that.
Could very well be. Because, I mean, think about it. You didn't really face any running threats the past few weeks because the Vikings don't run the ball. And how many times did the Commanders run the ball against them? Like, barely any.
Yeah, teams just don't run against the Bears for reasons. I don't know what they are.
Well, I just think that if your quarterback can drop back, not get touched, and they're playing soft zone coverage, that you're just able to dink and dunk down the field with wide open receivers in the middle of the field.
But what's wild to me is, so the Raiders were in a very tight game with the Patriots. And the Patriots' best cornerback by far is hurt and out. And let me see. I want to just make sure my stats are correct here. So in this tight game where their best cornerback is hurt, guess how many times or how many receptions that Devontae Adams had?
How many?
2 for 29 yards. So, yeah, Garoppolo threw for 162 yards. I don't know how many targets. He had 5. Devontae had 5 targets, 2 catches, 29 yards. But Josh Jacobs did have 25 carries. And I think we'll see at least 25 carries from him against the Bears.
I would imagine so.
Brian
Hoyer and Tyson Bagent.
Yeah. So let's see. What else with this stupid Bears? They forgot again that DJ Moore is really good.
How many targets did he get in the first half? 1?
I think 1 or maybe 2. The Bears decided that it was a good idea to try to fool the Vikings by running the same play 3 times in a row. And it didn't work
Mm-hmm.
anytime. That was terrible. Deontay Foreman ran for or averaged about 4.5 yards a carry. Yet how many carries did he get in a one-score game? In a one-score game, how many carries did he have? 15.
Mm.
Why?
And you
Don't
don't
know.
have Khalil Herbert, you don't have Roshan Johnson, you don't have Travis Homer, who I know is more of a blocking guy than a running back, but still.
I mean, we might have Roshan Johnson back next week.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we're obviously not going to have Khalil Herbert. He's on IR, but
yeah, he's on IR, but we might get Roshan back. But Deontay Foreman played nice.
He did.
But you targeted Darnell Mooney 3 times. And
Which he had a solid day at the office.
he had that one nice catch. And then so he had 39 yards on that one catch and then 9 on the other one. So or does he have 3 catches? No, 2 catches. Tyler Scott dropped the ball.
Yeah.
He can't field punts.
Yeah.
He can't field kickoffs.
Yeah.
So why aren't we shitting down his throat like we do with Velus Jones?
Who actually didn't have a bad day, Velus Jones.
I
know
mean,
there was that he got kind of lucky with that goal line kickoff, but he had 2 nice returns.
I think they've got to figure out a way to work him in the offense more. But Scott is not showing me anything.
No, he's not.
I'm down on him, and I know that it's switched up a little bit, but I mean, 10, 15 years ago, wide receiver was a really tough position to come in as a rookie and play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Scott's just struggling with that. But you've got to get more targets to DJ Moore. You've got to work Darnell Mooney into this offense more. Cole Kmet had 2 catches for 9 yards. Against a team that blitzed like every down, why isn't your tight end involved more?
Le shrug.
There's just so many questions. Your offense, terrible. Tevin Jenkins didn't have a good PFF score, but watching him play, I didn't see it. He looked good. You need to upgrade the other guard, and you need to upgrade center, and you need Braxton Jones back. And I think he's eligible to return this week, I believe. I don't know. I don't know where he is. I haven't heard anybody talk about him. So I don't know if he's, where he's at with his injury, but they need him back because he's a far superior left tackle than Larry Borum.
Yeah, Borum has really had a rough go of it. Bad penalties and just it's been rough.
Then you had Nate Davis get rolled up on during that game.
Yeah.
Oh wait, here we go. Here's an update from today. Braxton Jones was eligible to begin practicing again today since he's been on injured reserve for the minimum 4 weeks as he works through a neck injury. However, Eberflus said Jones is not ready to resume practicing yet.
So he's getting there, but he's not,
I know his window, quote, I know his window could start right now. We just don't have an update. We're not there yet. So they don't have a timetable on his return, but they have 21 days for him to either return or he's done for the season.
We'll see.
And yeah, I don't I don't know what the status of Davis is, but he left in a walking boot.
It was a high ankle sprain, wasn't it?
Is it? So that means he's probably going to be out 2 to 5 weeks. Uh,
Yeah, it just boy, it's going to be an ugly one at Soldier Field. And I'm not talking about like necessarily it's going to be an ugly, brutal, they get killed loss. I'm just saying ugly game. The Raiders and the Bears.
yeah, this is a the Raiders are not a great team. They're 3-3 right now. They're not terrible, but they're not winning pretty. Jimmy Garoppolo's, I don't know if he's going to be playing.
We could get Brian Hoyer.
We could get Brian Hoyer. But I read that that his injury wasn't as bad as they thought. But we'll know him Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, 6 hours ago. His status is he was ruled out against the Patriots. Josh McDaniels said that they dodged a big bullet regarding his injury. His status for week 7 against the Bears is still uncertain, but his prognosis is a lot better than it otherwise might have been. I don't think they're going to play him. Why would you? You're playing the Bears.
Seriously.
Like, you could win with Brian Hoyer against the Bears.
Sure. Why would you rush?
Yeah. This stupid team. All right, what do you want to talk about now?
Hey, hockey's on.
Hockey's on. Honestly, the Blackhawks are right exactly where I kind of expected them. Like, they're not good, but they're not bad.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that first win they had in Pittsburgh was really exciting. You're down 2-0, and you score 4 unanswered goals, and you win 4-2 on the road in Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh ain't the Pittsburgh they used to be. And frankly, Pittsburgh is kind of...
Didn't they make the playoffs last year?
No, they didn't. We knocked them out.
Oh, sorry. They were right there on the cusp.
Right. But I mean, they're not the Pittsburgh they used to be. And frankly, their future's kind of screwed. That you don't have much cap space and you have no prospects. But still, you're playing against Crosby and Malkin, and you're in Pittsburgh on the road for a young team around a young 18-year-old superstar playing in his first NHL game. That's not an easy ask. And the fact that they were able to escape out of there with a 4-2 win and really turn up the heat late in the game, it was a really impressive effort by that Blackhawks team. And you saw Connor Bedard get his first career assist. You saw Peter Mrazek play very well in net. And that was just a fun night. And it really felt like just being online, there was a massive rejuvenation of Hawks fans, a rejuvenation where you say, hey, the future is looking bright here. We understand this team isn't going to be winning a Stanley Cup or making the playoffs, but the fact that you're seeing the vision, you're seeing Connor Bedard, you're seeing a culture that says you're going to play your butt off every single night and you're going to have your teammates back. You're seeing these things kind of pave this path going forward. And it feels good, even though this team is still a ways away from being a contender.
So I just want to point out where they're at, though, is their first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, their first 8 games are against the Penguins, who were last year, they didn't make the playoffs, but they were a 91-point team.
Yeah, he just missed.
They played They play Boston twice, who Boston was a 135-point team last year.
Mm-hmm.
They play them twice. You've got
You played Montreal. You're playing the Leafs right now.
Montreal was not that good last year, but they're like
they're
the
better
Hawks.
this year.
They're like a year ahead of the Hawks. They've got a really good young core. I think they're going to be good this year.
And they're very well coached.
Yes. Toronto was a 111-point team last year.
Mm-hmm. They made the playoffs.
Yeah, and they were a favorite. Colorado was a 109-point team, and Vegas won the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And you're playing them twice. That's your first games, and you're coming out here. So your first 8 games, you don't have a single easy game on that schedule until you have one game that could be an easy one. This whole entire first month of the season, you've got Arizona on your schedule, and they're the last game of the month. But yeah, you're coming out tough. You beat the Penguins on the road. Boston, you had an opportunity. They outplayed you, but you had an opportunity.
You were in the game until the end when they scored an empty netter.
Yeah, you were in there. You played an awful game against Montreal, but almost won. That should have gone to overtime. That goalie for Montreal, who's got a ridiculous name that's way too hard to pronounce, he stood his head and stopped some really good opportunities. That should have gone into overtime.
And don't forget too, with under 20 seconds left, Seth Jones rang one off the inside of the post.
Yep.
You were inches away from getting a point in that game. And like you said, that second period, I was watching it at a restaurant with my friends. That second period was far and away the worst period they had played in this very young season. But you didn't crumble after that. You stayed in it. You kept it to a 3-0 deficit. Then you went ahead and you scored 2 goals from Tyler Johnson. Next thing you know, you have an opportunity to tie it up, and you almost do.
Yep.
So,
and right now they're up 3-1 on Toronto, who's a really good team.
Very good team
in the regular season.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, you've got to be happy with these. I mean, it would have been nicer if they got points in against Boston and Montreal. Yeah, but where
you're just not going to win a lot of games.
No, and that was my whole thing is you've got 3 first-year defensemen. You've got Connor Bedard. You've got a really young team, and you're still rebuilding. You're still rebuilding. You're going to have money this offseason. You have more draft picks. You're going to have guys that have another year under their belt, and you're developing, as far as your forwards, Lucas Reichel, Connor Bedard, and your goalie. And it's been a godsend. Mrazek has played really, really, really well.
He has. That he's been good so far. And boy, you really dodged a bullet with Taylor Hall, because when that injury happened, I'm like, oh God, he's going to be out a while. And he's back against Toronto. He missed 1 game, 1 full game.
Yep. They said it was a week-to-week injury. And I'm like, 3 weeks minimum. And no, yeah, he's back. I don't know. Did they say what the injury was?
It was his shoulder, I believe. It was upper, you know what they say in hockey, upper body.
And lower. Yeah. But sometimes we find out these things, but I like upper body could be a ruptured spleen, a separated shoulder, or a brain contusion. Like those are all the
nose,
same. Yeah.
Broken hand, broken wrist, broken arm, shoulder dislocation, could be a million things.
Yeah, lower body could be sprained ankle, ACL, or amputated leg.
Lower body injury.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this is really where I think our expectations is that they were competitive, players were getting better. Connor Bedard is looking like he's the guy that we all thought he was going to be.
Yeah, and he's working on he's getting a plenty of chances. He's just, trying to bury some of them. And he's 18 years old. He's played 3 full games, gonna be after tonight 4 in the NHL. But in his first 3 games, he recorded at least a point.
Yep. He's a point a game player in his first 3 games of the NHL season or his career. He's playing really well. And there's so much more room for him to be even better. Like, I believe it was the Boston game, the Penguins game, where he had like so many shots on goal, and there were some good shots. They just didn't go in.
Yeah.
I mean,
late in that Boston game, he had a few good chances.
Could have had 2-3 goals in that game, and it just puck luck. And I think John Scott was, I don't know if you saw, he was like weak shot accurate, but he's like, and that's not a criticism. He's like, my shot was like 102 miles an hour and I scored 5 points in my career. And he predicted he'd have like over 100 points this year. But I mean, you see, it's for him, I think it's going to be figuring out that some of the flashy things he did in his younger hockey is not gonna fly in the NHL right now. Guys are gonna put him on his ass.
I mean, you see teams are already targeting him. Like they're not treating him like he's just some little kid rookie. They are treating him big time.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who was it the other night in Boston, like tying him up with his stick by the benches? Like he was already getting it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And but there's some things he's just gotta, and it's not a criticism at all. It's nice to see that he's human, but you're seeing that he was worthy of the number 1 pick plus some.
Oh man, he just had a great chance too, as we were talking. He can weave by guys, and his shot, he can have the puck literally right at the edge of his skates, and he can wrist it just an absolute bullet. It's impressive.
Yeah, he looks really good, and I'm excited to see what happens when he's halfway through a season and he's figured a few things out.
And what did we say going into this season? As talented as Bedard is, there's going to be growing moments.
Yeah.
He's 18 years old.
I mean,
in a man's league.
Yeah. I mean, he still hasn't played a home game.
No. He's 5 straight road games to start the year, man.
Yeah. We're going to see him score anywhere from 60 to 100 points this year. And you're going to look at him and be like, man, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah. And, obviously one of the biggest rooms for improvement on this team as a whole is the faceoff dot.
That's his Achilles there. I think he's going to wind up being a winger. He's not good on the faceoffs, and you're going to have to get better on that.
That's where you miss Jonathan Toews.
Jonathan Toews, even at his worst, was a really good at the dot.
He was stupid good at faceoffs, especially in his prime. Like he was probably, I don't have the stats in front of me, but he was one of the best in the NHL at that. He was a master at the faceoff.
Yeah, I really want to see Bedard on the wing in the power play.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I mean,
I still think he winds up as a wing. But which is still fine.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with being a wing. But yeah, I mean, I love this. This season has been great so far. Fans are excited. And obviously, I don't mind them losing from mistakes from young players. Like you've seen some of the young defensemen turn pucks over, and too many odd man rushes on the when there's when they're on the power play, too many shorthanded rushes.
Yeah.
Like those are things you get better at and you improve on. I'm fine losing when young kids make mistakes. I'm fine with that, especially when you watch them and you're like, oh my God. So I'm watching on my phone while recording, and there's a bug was on my phone, and I just looked, I'm like, why are they skating away from the puck? Oh no, the bug. Oh, it's a bug.
The puck is a bug.
But you watch them do good things, and then there's a learning opportunity there, and I can live with that because this is what the Bears should have been. You're like, okay, hey, if they're losing games, but you're seeing growth, I can live with that. That's what rebuild is like. The Bears are doing the opposite. They're getting worse. The Blackhawks are rebuilding the right trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely.
They added some veterans, but they're short-term veterans to elevate the young long-term rookies.
Right. You know that Nick Foligno and Corey Perry are not going to be here in the long run.
No, and they're here. And Corey Perry is playing really good.
Scored a breakaway goal today.
Yeah, he's playing really good. For a guy that we only expected to be a fourth liner that, fought people and was physical. Like, so I'm enjoying this. This is everything that these are what my expectations were of this team. So anything they do above and beyond, especially when you see this rough schedule right off the bat. What's November look like here? God, doesn't look much better there. God, Florida, Jersey, Tampa, Florida, Tampa, Nashville, Buffalo, Columbus, Toronto again, St. Louis, the Kraken, Detroit. There's some tough games in there too. When does the easy part of their schedule come?
Baptism by fire, man, for Connor Bedard and some of these other youngins.
I know. When is the stretch of Edmonton, Buffalo, Florida?
Well, Edmonton is Are you just continuing to read the?
No, I said when's it with Anaheim and Columbus and San Jose?
There you go.
And Arizona. That's the stretch I want.
Right. Yeah, man, that really is tough. But you know what? Let it build character. Even if you don't win a lot of those games, let it build character.
Yeah, eventually you're going to come across easy games, and those lumps you take in the tough ones, they do wonders, and they're not losing here. I mean, they're not getting crushed. We're more than halfway through the third here, and they're up by 2 goals. Odds are they're probably going to win this one. And
you just jinxed it.
Watch their goal right here. But there's a good chance they're going to win this one, and
I'm going
against a really tough Toronto team.
Oh my God, dude.
Alex is going to hold his breath the rest of this game.
Like a playoff game, like it's a playoff game.
If only you knew how many times I said they've got this game in the bag. You would one.
I will come to your house.
I will stab you with a purple crayon.
Take this. I will scribble on your face. Feel thy wrath of George McKeskey.
Nothing really Cubs I want to talk about. Is there anything Cubs you want to talk about?
Nah.
There's one tangential White Sox thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
And so I'm sure you heard the baseball news today. about a specific Marlins GM
Yes.
that
Mhm.
resigned.
Yep.
Kim Eng would have been an absolutely home run for the
Slam
White
dunk.
Sox. At like she is one of the best GMs in baseball. She built that Marlins team from a laughing stock to a playoff team, and she left on her own accord, became a free agent.
Hmm.
And the White Sox, because they did not do any due diligence, uh, they they hired somebody who's not nearly as capable as her.
You think
And
that they could still maybe hire her as an executive with Chris Getz? Because I think there were rumblings that that could be a possibility with her connections with the White Sox. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but do you think it's possible?
I'm going to say no. And here's why.
Jerry.
Is well, Jerry's part of it, but I think if she came in, she would want to hire, she would have to come in as like as the team president. And I think she would want to pick her own general manager.
That's fair.
And being saddled with one that's already been there for a month or whatever, uh that's a tough ask.
Man, what if she gets a chance in Boston?
I mean, that's a realistic possibility.
If I'm Boston, I am jumping all over her. Let me tell you.
Uh yeah, Boston should uh you know offer her the farm. The Yankees should offer her the farm.
They're never going to move on from Cashman.
Why wouldn't you? I would.
Oh, I would too. I just,
I mean, I'm not shitting on him. He's done a lot there, but he's there's he's always had a high payroll, and they have not won in a long time. Um, but I don't know. I just think that would be, there's a lot of teams that would really benefit from what she's done. And the Marlins are so dumb,
yep.
is they, I mean, I don't know if you read what the why she left.
Wasn't it she wanted like there was a it was like mutual or something that she
What
wanted because the contract was up, right?
this well, and she had, the contract was for next season, a mutual option. The team
Right.
picked up the option. She declined it. But they were apparently rumblings that the Marlins were going to hire a president of baseball operations above her. So essentially demoting her.
Oh,
And
that's stupid.
and and she didn't want to be a lame duck general manager. She wanted a contract extension, not to pick up the option. And um they didn't do it. So they're scrambling. It's just it was a dumb situation, and I think there's a ton of teams that uh, really could use her abilities.
Absolutely.
And the White Sox, by not taking their time and evaluating this, just really missed a huge opportunity, because had she come available, that would have been an absolute just grand slam, uh, you know, opportunity.
No doubt. No doubt.
She's shown what she can do, and who knows if she even wanted the job.
I'll be
So,
curious to see how that all plays out.
oh yeah, absolutely.
I wish her the best.
I do too. She's earned it.
Yep.
In a when she got hired there, despite her resume, there was a lot of people that doubted her, and um, I I don't know why, but she has shown that she's doing a good job.
Yeah.
Um, should we talk a little Bulls here?
Yeah, they're a thing, aren't they?
Yeah. Um, I mean, season starts next week. Uh, first two games looked really, of the preseason, looked really encouraging. I mean, there was a loss to the Bucks, but you you felt pretty good. Then they beat the Nuggets. But then you had the third game where they played the Nuggets and got stomped. You got two more preseason games, and I don't know how much to take away from them.
Yeah, I don't really take much away. What I do kind of hope that we continue to see from last year is Kobe White being a useful piece.
We're seeing that though. I mean, we're
He's looked
seeing,
good so far,
yeah,
yes.
we're seeing good things. The 3-point shooting um, has been okay.
If he can deliver that consistently, I'd really like that. Because it's never been consistent. You've seen flashes of it but then there are times when it's just not working. But I think that towards the end of last year, we saw a lot of promising signs from him. So if he keeps building on that, would love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Bulls, I think where you're going to have to improve um, is, I mean, I think your MO has to be for the Bulls to be a good defensive team and an efficient offense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have the tools to be a high-powered offense, but I
No.
think you need to be efficient.
If Zach LaVine can consistently score 20, 30 points a night, Vucevic can score, 15, 20 points a night. DeMar DeRozan scores 20, 25 points a night. I mean, those right there are really keys to your offense.
Um, so I think that's just really going to have to be, step up from where you were, remain consistent where you were defensively from, last year. Um,
We've also seen some hopeful flashes too from Patrick Williams, and that's another guy where I feel like he has the opportunity to really step up this year.
yes, he is the one we've all been waiting for. I think we've said it consistently that in order for the Bulls to take a step up, is Patrick Williams is going to have to become somewhat of a dude. Maybe not like
Yes,
a dude, but he's got to be somewhat of a dude.
right.
Otherwise, this team is not going to take that step forward. We had free agent acquisition Torrey Craig, who stepped in, and he's been a hustle and D type guy, and played okay. Uh, and I don't. There's nothing super exciting about this team, but I think the chemistry and the growth of Kobe and Patrick might put this team over the top to make the playoffs.
I
Uh,
think they're going to be right on that border.
oh yeah, I mean it's not going to be they're not going to be like the third seed or anything, but I think the difference between not making it and being a disappointment and actually making it, I I think are seeing the potential for that difference, and it's not a huge difference between those bottom playoff teams and the top of the lottery. There's not a huge difference in those teams. It's really it really comes down to a couple of sequences in a couple of games, and you really change that trajectory. And I think it's that being steady. Long term, I still don't know what the Bulls' plans are, but you can only go year by year. And if you make the playoffs, it's I know they say anything can happen. It's not so much in the NBA. Uh,
No, no, no.
but it's at least if you make the playoffs, you've got
I
the
mean, that's
opportunity.
that's the best you can do really with this team. This isn't a championship team. We know that. So,
No,
I mean,
definitely
really the
not.
best you can do is playoffs.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at uh, you know, teams like Milwaukee that just got, I think, fairly significantly better.
Oh yeah, I mean, if everything goes right, they're going to win the championship. At least get there. I mean, that's insane.
But all you can do is you have this core. You made a run for it, and they've made the decision to ride it a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could have tried to blow it up and lingered in mediocrity before you really tanked, but they decided to go for it one more year, and here we are. And maybe things would have been different had we won the draft lottery and got Victor Wembanyama. Because I don't know if you're watching him, but good grief, does he look good?
He looks like Michael Jordan from Space Jam.
Have you seen the video of somebody playing with him in like a video game? And it just said like Wembanyama's built different, and he goes up and gets a dunk, but there's like a glitch in the game, so he just starts spinning like a helicopter blade around the rim, and they're playing the game and he's just still spinning, and then when they try to shoot it, he gets like a goaltending. It's stupid funny. It's like you're like, man, this is so dumb, but you're laughing at it anyway. But yeah,
it's great.
He looks like a cheat mode.
Yeah, he's insane.
The handles he's got and his height, and he's the future of this league, man.
Yes, he is. The Spurs have really got one.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I think I've said my piece, and I think we're looking pretty safe for the Hawks. So yeah. I don't have to kick your ass.
I don't know, man. The Maple Leafs could score 3 goals in the next 54 seconds.
Well, they're reviewing this Hall goal.
Let's see. It is.
Said it was on side. I mean,
I think it's good.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be. There was no Hawk in the zone, at least not from that view.
We'll see. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports. Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like... Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears!
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down.